Thank you for joining us. You're watching a career success video from Computer Coach. Computer Coach is a Tampa-based computer training center specializing in helping IT and business professionals add on the skills they need to reach their desired career goals. If you are job searching, in transition, or are looking for guidance, please feel free to reach out to us at www.computercoach.com. Now, let's get started.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Suzanne Ricci, and I'm the Executive Director at Computer Coach. And it is my pleasure today to host the How to Write a Technical Resume webinar. So we're just going to let everyone join for a minute. In the meantime, go ahead and take this opportunity and drop your LinkedIns into the chat so we can connect and we can grow our networks. And as job seekers or individuals looking for new opportunities, we can hopefully help each other out. So I'm going to go ahead and drop my LinkedIn into the chat. Feel free to do the same. So I unfortunately don't have a video camera today, so I can't come on video, but I promise you I am here with you. So go ahead, drop your LinkedIns into the chat. Tell us where you're located today as well. Always love to know where people are attending from. Okay, so let's get started with today's Job Search Success webinar, How to Write a Technical Resume. As I mentioned, I'm Suzanne Ricci. I am the Chief Success Officer. I also have the Executive Director title at Computer Coach, where we are headquartered in Tampa Bay. At Computer Coach, we provide a variety of different tech boot camps, certification preparation courses for both tech and tech adjacent roles, as well as a variety of continuing education and upskilling courses. So if you are interested in having a free career strategy session, do reach out to me. I'd be happy to set that up for you. At Computer Coach, we can sit down and, as I said, no fee, no obligation, and talk about where have you been and where do you want to go and help you craft a plan to get there. Of course, if our courses are right for you, then we would love for you to become a Computer Coach customer, but it is not required. We still want to be friends. And if Computer Coach isn't right for you, we still want to see you out here on our Tuesday webinars and our Thursday and Friday guest speaker series. So I actually started my career as an IT professional, right? So I actually started as a front-end developer years ago before we had the titles of front-end developer or front-end engineer. I started when we were called web designers, and I found a real passion for technology. But more than that, I found a real passion for teaching technology and helping other individuals in IT find their desired career paths. And the more you get to know me, the more you will know I am passionate about helping others with their career success. And I love talking about what other people have going on in their career and learning all about the individuals who do come to our presentations. So go ahead, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll drop my LinkedIn again as we're going, but let's get started with the content for today, right? So what is a technical resume? And so when you want to have a conversation with an employer or with a recruiter, now for me, I use the word recruiter and talent acquisition professional interchangeably. I am talking about anyone who is their job to help you, get into an interview in an organization. So when I talk about recruiter, I'm also talking about staffing agencies and corporate recruiters. But when you want to have a conversation with an employer or a recruiter, you want a resume that is clear, that is relevant to the job, and that highlights your technical skills. When you're writing a technical resume, you really want to make sure that you are quantifying your accomplishments on your resume. You want to make sure that you're using metrics, numbers, dollar signs, percentages. You want to make it very easy for whoever is scanning your resume to assess what your impact would be or what you could do in their organization. So hiring managers, recruiters, they look at your past performance in organizations to say, well, if this individual was able to do this at their last employer, they should be able to do the same thing at our employment, right? And so you want to make it really easy and clear by quantifying your achievement, by using dollars, numbers, percentages, make it easy. You also want to make sure that you are including keywords that are relevant and tailored to the job description. It is really important nowadays that you customize your resume for each job description or each job that you are going to apply for. Now, I do have a ranking that I have for jobs where I rank jobs on A, B, and C, right? Because I understand it is a lot of time to adjust a resume for every job that you're going to apply for. So I consider A jobs, those jobs that you really are passionate about, those jobs that you look at and you say, wow, this is my dream job right here. I want to call somebody I know and tell them that I just found my dream job. You want to make sure that if you are really applying for an A job, that you are really including the keywords that are in the job description, because including those keywords will help improve your chances of passing the initial screening process. So you want to make sure that you are using industry specific words, because you want to make sure that your resume is effective and it enables you to present a clear and focused picture of your technical skills, your experiences, and your achievements. You want to make sure that employers can quickly read your resume and determine that you are suitable for the role you are applying for. And that is really important. I'm going to say that again. When you write a resume, and a technical resume, if you're applying for a technical position, the goal is to make sure that it is easy for employers to evaluate your suitability for the job that you are applying for. That is why we need to tailor our resumes for every role that we're applying for. But again, I understand that if it's a C-level job, a job that you look at and say, nah, I mean, I could do that job, it's okay. Maybe you are starting with just, a generic resume that we have. But the reason why you need to customize for every role now is to make sure that your resume really demonstrates that you are suitable for the job you're applying for. And that is where we want to make sure that we do have industry-specific keywords. We're highlighting our technical competencies that are relevant to the open position that we're applying for. You really don't need to be including things on your resume that are not really relevant to that particular position. You never want to leave a gap of employment on your resume. So if it is having an irrelevant position or a gap, I would take an irrelevant position all day long. But you do want to make sure that you are tailoring that resume to the job that you're applying for. I am going to take questions at the end, just in case anybody has any questions. Feel free to go ahead and drop them in the Q&A or the chat, and I'll go through that at the end. So let's talk about what is the difference between an online versus a print resume, right? So printable resumes, or resumes that you would print and bring with you, I call those pretty resumes. Online resumes are generally when you are applying through an applicant tracking system, or you are, applying online. Those are more text-based resumes. And maybe your printed resume includes some pops of color or some, certification badges that you have on it. That would be okay. You never want to include your picture on a resume, but in a printable version, then I would add some, pops of color. I would still make sure it's very easy to read, but I would ensure that it was more pretty, right? For a text-based resume, you want to make sure that your resume is very plain. And when I say plain, you want to make sure that it is something that you could have created in Notepad. Now, you don't have to create it in Notepad, but you could have, which means you are not using tables, you are not using columns, you're using, round black circles for bullets. You're not using any funky wingding fonts or anything like that. You are using space to separate, not, bars or pictures or anything like that. Why? Because getting through an applicant tracking system is really very difficult. And we have an entire Tuesday webinar that we run just on getting past the applicant tracking system. Actually, we have a few different ones that we run on Tuesdays at 10 on applicant tracking systems. So do follow us on Eventbrite so you can get notified of the different webinars that we teach, the guest speakers that we host, as well as the networking opportunities that we host. And I just dropped in our Eventbrite link into the chat, but do follow us on Eventbrite so that you can learn about the other. And if you're having problems getting past the applicant tracking system, then make sure you look for that webinar and do attend when it's coming up, because today we're going to talk about some of the things, but not all of it, right? So you really, when you have an online resume that you are submitting, technical or not, you want to make sure that you're limiting the formatting, and you really want to make sure that the keywords in your resume match your skills and the job description. Make sure they are industry specific if you can. You never want to lie on your resume. Never take someone else's resume and say that it's yours, but you will need to ensure that the keywords you're using match your skills and that they match the job description. The keywords are really essential for optimizing the resume's performance in the applicant tracking system. Most companies, even if you're applying just through a job board at this point, they are using applicant tracking systems. So make sure that you are customizing so that you can get eyeballs on your resume if you're applying online. Now, if you have the luxury of having someone say to you, please email me your resume, that is amazing, right? You can email your pretty version. Just make sure you ask, should I send you a PDF or a Word document? Make sure you're asking. So why do we need a technical resume? Well, we need technical resumes because we've talked about this thing called the applicant tracking system, right? There's many different versions of applicant tracking systems out there, but it is a tool that helps recruiters speed up and automate the hiring process. They are very, very popular at this point. And overall, they are computer systems that use an algorithm to match job seekers to job descriptions. And so here what we have on our screen is the actual process of an applicant tracking system. So we start with the career page, we get into the job portal where we actually apply, we put our resume, we fill out the documents that are there, we answer the knockout questions, and then the applicant tracking system actually sorts the resumes into qualified or not. And then it also works as a digital filing system for resumes. And then the recruiter can either message you or schedule an appointment if they find that your resume articulates that you have the skills needed for the job, right? So really important to understand how applicant tracking systems work. So it's important to have a resume that is effective for applying online and one that stands out, because on average, according to Glassdoor, 250 resumes are submitted, 4 to 6 people are going to be interviewed, and 1 person's going to get a job. That's why making sure that we have a technical resume that really showcases our skills is so important. And the reason why, if you're applying online, you have a 4% or less chance of landing an open role. So now let's get into talking about the sections of a technical resume. So the sections that I particularly coach on are having your name and your contact information, a targeted job title line, which we'll talk about in just a minute, professional summary, your certifications, technical skills, your professional experience, and then your education. This is the format of the technical resumes that I use and coach our customers at Computer Coach on. Exactly this format. People ask me all the time, how should I format my resume? What's the best format? This is the structure we use. We literally just go through here and fill in each of the areas that's applicable to whomever is applying for whatever job that it is. So when we talk about the name section, right? So you have your name on top. When you are creating a resume, make sure you don't put your name and contact information in the header, and don't put any information in the footer. That is because not all ATSs can read information in the header or footer. So just avoid it, because we don't know what type of applicant tracking system we're applying into all the time. So we just avoid it, right? Make sure you have a phone number that works. And if you are applying for jobs, you need to answer your phone. I know that we have a whole lot of spam calls out there. I get them too, okay? But if you are applying for a job, you need to make sure you are answering your phone, or at the very least checking your voicemail. And then you don't need to necessarily put your address on a resume anymore, but you do want to put your metro area. So if you're looking for a job in Atlanta, Georgia, maybe you're willing to relocate and you're not expecting a company to pay for your relo, well, then go ahead and put Atlanta, Georgia, right? So make sure that the area that you put is the metro area and it is, where you actually want to work. So for example, if I was in the Tampa Bay area and I was in Newport Richey, I wouldn't necessarily put Newport Richey on my resume. I'd probably put Tampa Bay, right? So because you're in the Tampa Bay metro area. Then put your email address, and then you want to have your LinkedIn. They're going to vet you on social media. So they're going to find your LinkedIn if you have one. If you don't have one, we need to have a conversation about why you don't have one, because you really do need a professional presence. And making sure that it's easy for the recruiters to find your professional presence, because again, they are going to search for it. There is actually software out there at this point that will aggregate all of your social media profiles together for recruiters to vet you. So you might as well give them what you got. The next is what we call our job title line. And you see where it says project manager, business analyst, project lead. So that is, I always like to list up to 3 jobs based on space. All the jobs need to align with each other, right? We need to stay in the same lane. We need to make sure the job titles are similar with each other. It would be confusing and probably take you out of consideration if you had like project manager, makeup artist, and professional photographer. That, for me, as a recruiter, I would look at that and go, what does this person really want to do, right? I don't want them to keep looking for a job after they're offered this opportunity, and then I'd have to start all over again. So make sure you're staying in the same lane, right? Find jobs titles that go together, right? And this is where, just an ATS tip, you would want to exact match the job title from the job description if you could. Up next, we are going to talk about the professional summary. So a professional summary, also known as a resume summary, qualification summary, resume statement, whatever you want to call it. I just like to label it professional summary because we want to keep things very simple for applicant tracking systems. If you're just starting your career, it's okay to have a shorter summary, but you don't really want to have an objective on a resume. So that's really important. So even if you're just starting off in your career, I'm sure you have some volunteer work, some passion projects, some, things that you have been involved in that we could craft into a professional summary. So you want your professional summary. You can do this as a paragraph. You can do it bulleted. It's whatever you'd like, but your professional summary generally is customized to the job opportunity that you're applying for. And it takes all of your relevant skills and achievements and highlights them that are applicable to the job that you're applying for. Really important. That's why your professional summary is generally customized for each job that you're working on. Now, I want to take a minute and really talk to you about a concept that businesses use when it comes to should they make or buy, right? And when employers are having a staffing need, they consider whether they need to make or invest in internal development of existing employees to fill the gap. Or should they buy, which is what it's called, and hire an external candidate with the required expertise. So when you are writing a technical resume, this is a very important concept for you to understand, because on the back end, the company is having the conversation. Do we have anyone internally that we can upskill and make them sufficiently equipped with the skills needed to do the job and the tasks that we're looking for? Or do we need to hire in? And as someone who is out searching for opportunities, you want to make sure that you really demonstrate in your technical resume why they should hire you and not upskill someone else, right? So you want to show how you can bring a fresh perspective, new ideas, diverse experiences that can all contribute to the company mission and growth. And this goes back to those A, B, and C jobs, right? If you have an A job and you're like, wow, I really want this opportunity, And you know now that companies, when they have a staffing need, are in the back end having a make versus buy conversation with the decision makers, then you know that you can really customize your resume to demonstrate the expertise that you bring and why it is that they would want to invest in you and bring in a new employee instead of upskilling somebody within their current environment, right? So that's a very important concept that I just want to make sure that we address today. So going back to our format, so we have certifications. If you are writing a technical resume, you definitely want to make sure that you have certifications, and you want to make sure that if you have multiple certifications, pick the biggest or the most impressive credential that you have that is applicable for the job. Let's say you have a job description that says must have a CISSP and Security Plus certifications. Well, the CISSP outranks the Security Plus in the cybersecurity certification world, right? So then I would put on my name line, Suzanne Ricci, CISSP, right? I wouldn't list all of them, but I would have a certification section in my resume, right? In the body of my resume that actually says that I have all of the certifications that I have. But do pick the most impressive one and include it after your name, especially if it's in the job description. So when we're talking about technical or key skills and listing them on our resumes, we want to make sure that we create a section that lists both our technical skills, like our tools, our programming languages. This can be a mix of like hard skills. You could add like programming languages, software, if that's applicable. And you can also list soft skills in the same area. So your technical, also named key skills, but when you're writing a technical resume, I would literally list them as technical skills. You can list your hard skills and soft skills in the same area, and you should. One of the biggest conversations we have in tech hiring is the need for soft skills. So here's an example of some soft skills and some hard skills. You do want to make sure that the skills that you are listing are coming from the job description, right? So here's a job description on the screen, and you can see I went through, I read the entire job description, so important. And I realized through reading this that key skills are going to be excellent communication, detail-oriented, high level of ethics, analytical, leadership, and mentorship. Those are all soft skills. So we want to make sure that we are adding those into our skills section, but then also talking to those in our experience section if we can. So here is a version of a resume, right, that has your name, your job title line, professional summary, and then a technical skills section. Here's another example that lists the certifications and then the technical skills. After we have our skills section, we're going to go in and create a professional experience section. So when you're creating a professional experience section, you want to make sure that you are pulling out experiences that map to the job description. So the job description is telling us what it is that we would be responsible for. Now, I know sometimes job descriptions are wrong, but we can only apply with what we have, right? So we're applying with the job description that's in front of us. And we want to make sure that we are pulling out relevant components of the job description to include in our professional experience section. So you don't really need to list any more than 10 years of experience unless it's relevant for some reason, or you're applying to a position that requires like a government role or a professor role or something like that. But for most technical jobs nowadays, you can apply with just 10 years experience. You want to make sure that you are staying consistent in your experience section. So if you want to start with a small paragraph of the company, right, and then bullets, you're more than welcome to do that. If you want to use all bullets for your professional summary, you can do that as well. You just want to make sure that you are staying consistent and that you're matching the job description with the skills and experiences that you've had, including accomplishments. Remember, the goal is to demonstrate that you have the key skills and experiences to do the job that they have outlined in the job description. So when it comes to professional summary, which again is at the very top, because this is easier to write at the end. So you really want to go through, so you have your sections, right? Your name section, your job title line, you should have a space for professional summary, then your certifications, your technical skills, then your experience. So now we want to go after we've listed our experience and we want to be able to write our professional summary. Now, you want to make sure that you describe your professional title, experienced such and such would be really great. And then pick the 3 to 4 most impressive parts of your resume, reword them, make sure that they're relevant with keywords to the industry that you're applying for, and please try to quantify. But it is easier when writing a resume to write your professional summary last. Although it is at the top of your resume, it's easier to write it last after you have matched up everything to the job description. So we want to make sure that we have education section on our technical resumes as well. So you can write your education in the order of your highest education achieved down to the lowest. So if that is a master's degree and then a bachelor's degree, you would list them in that order, right? Master's degree, then bachelor's degree. If you don't have any degrees, that's okay. If you have continuing education, you can list your continuing education at this particular point. The education portion is an area for you to showcase your dedication to continuous learning, to show and demonstrate that you are a lover of learning opportunities, because to be in tech, you really have to love to learn, right? We are learning new things every day. No reason to include a high school diploma, especially if you have a college degree. Even if you don't have a college degree, you don't need to include that you have a high school diploma on your resume. No need to ask for a GPA, no reason to list a GPA unless they ask for it, but generally they'll ask for that on an application, not on your resume. But, if you're applying for an internship or an apprenticeship, there are times where they will ask for a GPA, and you do not need to list your graduation year. That is something that some people who have been in industry for a while tend to say, like, oh, I feel like they're going to discriminate because they're going to be able to reverse process how old I am based on my graduation year. And that's okay. You don't need to include it unless on the application it's a mandatory, field. Then you're going to need to include it. So let's talk about submission formats. So most importantly, when you are applying online and when you are creating a technical resume, you want to make sure you are reading the instructions. The instructions may tell you upload a PDF, or don't upload a PDF, or upload a DOC, or upload a text document. Whatever the instructions say, make sure you follow the instructions. That is incredibly important. Make sure you follow the instructions and make sure you are submitting based on whatever the instructions say to submit on, right? So there are some organizations that their applicant tracking systems do not accept PDFs. There's other organizations that their email systems don't accept external PDFs or DOC documents, right? So you want to make sure that, one, if you are lucky enough to have the opportunity to have someone say to you, sure, email me your resume, or you have a friend that's going to refer you into an organization, which is always an amazing thing to have, then you can, ask them, what version should I send you? Should I send you a PDF, or should I send you a Word document, or whatever it may be, right? But when you are submitting online, my preferred is a .doc. That is just my preferred. That is my experience. If you don't have to agree with me, you can continue doing whatever you want. However, that is my experience, only because I know some ATSs do not accept PDF. That's just been my experience. All right, so here we have a sample of what a technical resume looks like, right? So I get asked all the time, do you have an example of what it should look like? What should it be? And this is the example we like. Now, if we're applying online, we wouldn't have the gray. We wouldn't have the lines underneath each section because, we don't want to have any formatting if we're applying online. But we believe resumes need to be simple. They need to articulate and demonstrate your ability to do the job that you're applying for. Not everything that you have previously done, but that you can do the job you are applying for. And that is a mindset shift in writing resumes. Employers are looking for resumes that convey they have the experience and ability to do the job they are hiring for, not necessarily looking at every single thing you've ever done. And so for some job seekers, that's hard because they want to list everything so that they seem like, oh my goodness, you know what? This person's more than what we're looking for. But that is sometimes how you get into the you're overqualified section, right? And so be very, very careful. So if you are in the Tampa Bay area, as I said, Computer Coach provides a variety of different tech boot camps, certification preparation courses for both tech and tech adjacent or business roles. We also have a variety of continuing education and upskilling courses. Currently, if you are in Tampa Bay, there are a variety of training grants available that can cover 100% of the cost of training, certifications, and books. Now, you do not need to use a grant to come to Computer Coach. There are many different ways to fund your education, but we do want to tell everyone about these grant opportunities if you qualify. We have a variety of different programs coming up, so please do reach out to me if you are interested in learning more, or if you want to take advantage of a free career strategy session. In these sessions, we start to really understand what are your career goals and what your current situation is. And with this information, we can help guide you. One, if you have a skills deficiency, right? Like maybe the jobs that you're looking for are looking for a more modern skill set than what you have. Well, then we can help you put together a plan on upskilling, or if it's just some job searching tips and tricks that you need in a more personalized environment, we can do that as well. And then we always host on Tuesdays our job seeker strategy webinars. So please do scan the QR code on your screen and follow us on Eventbrite. I know I dropped it into the chat earlier. However, this is how you'll get notified. On Tuesdays from 10 to 11-ish, we teach a job search strategy webinar. On Thursdays, we have a guest speaker series on career success and job search success. Fridays, we have a technical guest speaker series that we run. And then we also host a lot of different networking events, both online and in person. We also host what we call talent acquisition mixers, where we allow job seekers the opportunities to get out and meet individuals who are in recruiting, in staffing, in talent acquisition, in hiring, because the truth is that your next opportunity is probably going to come through a friend, a family member, or someone in your network. Generally, your statistical probability is that you're going to find your next job through someone you know. All right. And then scan this QR code, and you can also follow us on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is where we post a lot of information about a variety of different job search techniques, technical career paths that are out there, all kinds of really awesome information.
To learn more about our training programs, classes, and what sets us apart, please visit our website at www.computercoach.com.